God, you gotta love modern technology on old computers. Welcome everybody to another episode of Caliber and Character. I'm your host, Volstorm, live from the Black Site, along with the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Dictionary Diva. Diva, how are we?
I'm fabulous, Volstorm. How are you?
You know, I'm better now. I finally got my voice back after a glorious, glorious win over our hated Southern adversaries.
That was fun.
It's been a good week. Been a good
Yeah,
week.
that was a fun game.
Yeah, got to go out to the real Black Site yesterday and do what I love doing best, which is aromatherapy.
It is the best aromatherapy ever.
Go out and do a little aromatherapy, a little campfire, and then come
Mhm.
home and make sure that your candle holders are cleaned out properly. And it's just, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I was kind of embarrassed that I had never cleaned out my own candle holders before.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's disgusting.
it is. It's shameful.
Jeez.
It's
Hi,
very shameful.
Melissa. How are you?
Hey, Melissa.
We got Melissa here in the
Sweet.
chat.
Sweet. Yeah,
Yes.
I had never cleaned out my own candle holders before.
Well,
I'm
it's something every capable woman should be able to do.
You're 100% right. 100%.
I mean, if you're going to go out there and use it, you know how to clean it.
Yeah, so that was fun. That was fun. And the smell of that, the cleaning products for the candle holders.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah. What's up?
Well, let's go ahead and get to kind of what was on our minds this morning. David, do you remember the Golden Girls?
Oh man, I love the Golden Girls. That's one of my favorites. Yeah, love it.
Love watching the Golden Girls. Got a big kick out of it. My favorite character on there had to be Sophia.
Yes. Loved Sophia.
Sophia was a short little all wise, all knowing little smart ass.
Little
And
Spitfire.
I loved her. I loved her.
She was the best.
One of her favorite sticks is to tell stories about Sicily.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she would get into she would kind of go back into the history. So I'm going to channel Sophia a little bit. Picture it.
Nice.
America, the Great Depression.
Okay.
People they're scrapping for food. They're scrapping for money to be able to keep their lights on. They're scrapping for homes. They're scrapping for shelter.
Did they have lights back then?
Yeah. Yes, they had lights back then. Dear Lord. Dear Lord.
Did they have electricity back then?
Yeah, they had electricity back in the 1920s.
They did?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought, okay, 20s
Yeah.
and 30s. You sure
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
All right.
President Benjamin Franklin founded electricity way back before then.
God. Oh, yeah. All right. So
So
we're picturing it.
so you got families that are having to scrap to keep things together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lil Jimmy comes along. Lil Jimmy says, today I think I'm going to dress up in grandma's clothes.
Little Jimmy.
Now, do you think in the midst of all this trying to survive, Lil Jimmy's parents gave two shits about that?
No, they're probably like, well, if it's warm, go ahead.
Right.
If that's all we got.
Basically what I'm getting at is, a lot of the stuff that comes up today, a lot of the social issues, a lot of the bullshit practically is because we're living in good times.
Oh, so you think that people have got more opportunity now to be concerned with social issues rather than survival right now?
Yeah, because when you're living in hard times, when you really have it hard, when you're really having to survive, you don't care about all this crap that's going on with, making sure we're using the right pronouns, making sure that we have, all this diversity, making sure, which don't get me wrong, diversity is a good thing if you do the job.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but I wanna go back to Little Jimmy.
All right.
I'm
Tell me about Lil Jimmy.
well, I'm imagining Little Jimmy. Does he go to school?
Lil Jimmy probably doesn't go to school because Lil Jimmy's ass has to be out there in the field.
Poor
Lil Jimmy has to be down the street helping to stock the barren shelves of the stores for 10 cents an hour.
wow, he's getting paid a lot. Dang,
Lil
back in
Jimmy's getting paid
depression?
pretty good.
Yeah, he is. That's pretty steep wage for back then.
Actually, it was. It actually
Yeah,
really
that
was.
is pretty steep wage. How did he find that government job?
That's exactly what it was. It was a government job. But that, when when you're focused on yourself, when you're focused on your own survival, you're not worried about everything else. You're not worried about, am I getting identified correctly? You're not worried about, what do people think of me? You know, I feel like a lot of times that the whole reason that for the social media boom is people want to connect, right?
Yeah, yeah, that I believe that is the whole reason that the
Right.
social media boom
Well,
occurred, yeah.
back then you had to connect with your neighbors or you were going to fucking die.
Well, you're definitely gonna do without. If you didn't weren't an active member of the community and supported the community in some way, nobody else is gonna scratch your back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't about who you are, what your ideology was, what's your background, what's your, race, creed, color,
Mm-mm,
gender, any of that stuff.
mm-mm.
What it was about was survival.
Yeah.
It was about taking care of your needs, taking care of your family's needs.
Agreed,
Those
and your
things were
community.
more important. You know,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, old Farmer Brown down the road, he might be a piece of crap, but I got to work with him so my family can survive. I got to
Yeah.
trade with him for, he's got a few cows on his property and I got to trade with him to be able to get meat to feed my family.
Very true. Very true.
Pull up an article. Let's
Yeah,
see.
pull up that article.
Let's see if I can actually get technology to work today
You might get kicked off.
without kicking me off. Jesus.
Might need to invest in another device. One of them newfangled technology things, them
Oh, dear
computers.
Lord. Come on.
We're
Come
using the
on.
abacus here. I'm amazed we're able to get as much out of it as we are. Who knew an abacus could have so much power?
All right. Let's see if this kicks me off.
Okay. Oh, so far
Come on.
so good.
Come on. It's thinking, hey, it actually worked. Son of a bitch. This will probably blow it up. All right. If the article will load.
It's loaded on my screen.
Well, it's the full article didn't load because I got
Oh,
this stupid
yeah,
ad. I
yeah.
don't care about screw Penn State. All right.
Talk about a
Title of the
PR campaign.
All right. The title of the article is Hard Times Create Strong Men. All right. I'm going to get to here. If it'll let me scroll down. Where is it? All right. To quote a line from G. Michael Hoff's post apocalyptic novel, Those Who Remain, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Agreed.
I think
And
that's pretty self explanatory.
it is, and I've been hearing more of that lately, probably in the past 3 years, even
Right.
before, the ideological shift that happened a couple of years ago. But yeah, you hear that. Whenever there are good times, you have weak men. And, we wonder if we're on the precipice of that right now.
Well, I think what happens is that you become whenever you have easy times, you don't grow up learning how to scrap. People in, your parents' generation, you know, back during what they called the greatest generation, those who fought in World War II, went through the Depression. Those folks had to scrap, had to fight. I mean, you've told me about how your mom was meticulous about hanging on to things.
Yeah, not quite hoarder level, but when it came to food, if there were, like, scraps, she would tuck them away, put them in the freezer, and then it would be soup later on.
Right.
You know, it was just what we did, and honestly, if you're gonna be frugal, we called it frugality. We didn't call
Frugality.
it yeah, we called it frugality. She was very frugal.
Mhm. You know, it's we used to, because of that mentality, we used to build things that lasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've seen the memes, you've seen the jokes about how, you know, you've got a, you know, today's, let's say today's refrigerator will last you for about a year, and a refrigerator from the 70s will outlast not only your family but your family's family.
I have a friend who had put up that meme recently and said underneath it, like, "Yeah, my great-grandmother's refrigerator from, like, the 1940s was still running.
Yeah. Yeah,
Still running."
and why do you think that is?
Well, now we really have to be mindful because I'm sure it's not, energy efficient to keep old things running. That's not energy efficient.
Yeah, but it worked.
Well,
The damn
anytime
thing worked.
like, legit, I've heard people say that argument. They're like, "Well, it's old, so it uses more energy," and I'm like, "What do you think consumes more energy? This refrigerator running or the whole manufacturing process, supply chain, and everything involved to manufacture a whole brand new refrigerator? What do you think
Right.
consumes more energy, and which one's gonna last longer and then be a pull again on the supply chain, resources, energy again?"
I'm glad you brought up resources, because as an individual, as a family, what's going to cost you more in resources? Either having the ability to, you know, go back and kind of, okay, well, it's broke down, I can buy a couple parts and fix it, or to have to buy a brand new one every damn year.
Well, when you think about how much are refrigerators now? They're like 2,200 for a base
Oh,
model, right?
oh God, yes.
Uh, and let's say you don't want all the bells and whistles, and maybe you can get one stripped down to about 1,000, a
Right.
1,000-ish.
Right.
But you know inherently when you buy that refrigerator, probably in about 5 years, you're gonna have to get a new refrigerator.
Yeah, you are. You just are.
You just are, you just know this.
Well, think about TVs. TVs are the damn worst. It's like, you know, they'll come out with the technology and then a couple of years later, you know, they get thousands of dollars cheaper, but you're still having to go and constantly replace the TV. Think about computers. Computers are
Mhm.
so damn, it's like you buy a computer 2 years later, it's absolutely obsolete.
Just about. That's we keep picking on the poor computer that you use to host this. That thing has been around for almost 15 years, and it
Yeah, that
still can
explains why it
support
keeps wanting to kick me off.
but it can still support what we're I mean, basic functions. It was a good computer. It was a
Yeah, at the
good
time.
computer. Yeah, at the time, it still is a pretty darn good computer. I'm sure if
Don't shut off on me. Don't shut
yeah,
off on me. Please don't.
don't pick on it.
I'm
Don't
on here live. Please don't shut down on me.
don't pick on the computer. Um, so, like, for little Jimmy,
Little Jimmy,
was little Jimmy, do you think his family had bought quality goods and
you had to.
had had probably a system in place in which they provided for themselves?
You
Or do
had
you
to. I mean, because back then you had to function as an individual.
good point.
You had to take care of yourself. There's a saying I use all the time when it comes to self defense. You know, when seconds count, the cops are only minutes away. Well, think about, let's go back to we had the recent natural disaster, the hurricane that came through Florida.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
and prayers are with those family, especially I think there was, what, last count there was like 52 deceased.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
You think about a situation like that. You think about the floods during Hurricane Katrina. You think about earthquakes out in California and the mudslides.
Mhm.
You've got natural disasters on such a scale that there's no way the local authorities are going to be able to get to you and help you.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
think about the
At least
we
not
talk
quickly.
we talk about all the time here in East Tennessee the blizzard in '93. You had people that were without power for days. It's freezing
Weeks.
cold. There was weeks sometimes. It's
Mhm.
freezing cold. There's snow. There's no way you can get out and about. You had no electricity, no heat and air, nothing.
Well, I hope you wouldn't have air. That would be kinda
Well,
counterintuitive.
well, some people are hot natured, so no. Hey, for all those of us who run a fan when they go to sleep, that's very important. And you definitely didn't have no internet connection. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
That's true. That was back in the day when there wasn't even I think there was just, like,
Al,
Unix, and that
Al
was
Gore
it.
hadn't invented it yet.
Well, I think yeah, it was just on government scale use.
Yeah, even
Anyway.
the government couldn't even get the birds to fly around the drones.
To
Hashtag,
power up the
hashtag,
system.
hashtag birds aren't real. Well, they couldn't recharge. They couldn't stand on the line and recharge because the lines were frozen over.
God. Oh my gosh. Hey, did you know that ID Crisis and Dean Bragg?
Yes,
Yeah, hey
yes.
guys.
Hail ID crisis. But
So,
getting back to it's when you're in those situations, people make fun of the term prepping all the time. It's
yes.
like, oh, if you're a prepper, you're some right wing extremist. And in some cases, maybe true.
Get my tinfoil hat.
That's right. Get my tinfoil hat. Sorry, I'm trying to do Alex Jones. I'm still trying to get my voice back. But basically, the way I view it in modern times is having yourself ready for a natural disaster, having yourself ready for if they can't come out, if the authorities cannot come out and assist you because they're having to deal with so much. They'll have people out there working, overtimes, double shifts, they're short staffed, you know, and they don't have time to be able to get to you to help you with whatever your particular need. Not your want, not your creature comfort, but your actual need.
Mhm.
They're having to go out there and help so many people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I I was gonna say, that I cannot remember. It was a YouTube thing that I watched, and it was this where this fellow went, to Alaska, and he was just he met with this homesteader up in Alaska and was kinda doing a little interview with him, asking him, "Why did you choose Alaska?" They had come from Philadelphia, I think. They had made the choice to move from Philadelphia, and, um, now this was a recent maybe we might even put the link up in the chat, I don't know. But the interviewer is asking him, like, "So why did you decide to move?" And so you have this very artistic, creative, younger woman, she's got piercings, tattoos, even her hair's in dreads, multicolored dreads, but she was so articulate, and she's like, "Every night there was gunfire. Every night there were shots going off." And she's like, "Even my friends, they had taken this very polarized, simple-minded approach that if you believe this one thing, then you automatically fall into this category." And she's like, "Up here in Alaska? No. The only thing that you have to be in a community and work with other people here. They may have completely different political beliefs, but you have to work together as a human."
Yeah, I think one of the things that she said was her political views were completely different when they were living in Pennsylvania. And then when they moved up there and found out most of those people didn't care about that kind of stuff, it really
Mhm.
opened her eyes because up there it was more about necessity. It was more about taking care of your family, taking care of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kinda like the great equalizer. Those things that, pronouns and, identity and political stance, it didn't matter up there. It didn't
Yeah.
matter in Alaska.
Yeah. It was, are you alive or are you not?
Yeah, are you alive and are you helping your community? And and, um, they didn't really talk about it a lot, but I think they touched on it, was just checking to make sure that your neighbors were okay.
Right.
And that's just being a basic decent human. And what was interesting too was the tweakers that they talked about, because that in its own self was a different kind of danger, but it was so it wasn't the same degree as shots ringing out every night from where they were living in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they said that's one of the reasons that they moved out was
Yeah.
because especially during the summer of 2020, that they were having to worry about violence getting closer and closer and closer to where they lived. And they lived in a pretty decent area up there. And they had gotten out, moved to Alaska, and then it was kind of like its own danger in a way,
Mhm. Mhm.
because the
Mhm.
people out there they're more scrappers, they're more resourceful, and a lot sneakier. But it was something that you were able to kind of adapt to the environment.
Mhm.
One of the things that she said that resonated with me was, when you see somebody coming over the hill, you better identify yourself really fast or
Yeah.
something's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very interesting. It's like you had to adapt to that environment, which inherently had more danger. Like you had the danger of exposure, the danger of wild animals, and then the danger of the tweakers. But that was preferable to a modern, convenient city life.
Right.
I think that's just interesting. We'll have to put that show link somewhere on our description in case anybody wants to watch it.
Right.
So,
Let's let us get, I'm going to pull up this other article really quick if it'll let me.
15
Told you
year
I have an
old
old
computer.
computer. Leave me alone.
It's about 15 years old.
All
That old
right.
Commodore 64 is chugging right along.
Like the damn computer's got the Rona.
Poor little
Look at
computer.
this poor computer. I mean, I can barely. I've tried to enlarge the image.
I know, and it's screwing with your mic too a little bit. It's pulling up too
Yeah,
much
it's screwing
stuff
with
all at
yours
once.
too.
Yeah. Oh well. It's cool. It's cool, man. Yeah, man. We may have to upgrade.
What was your first clue? Oh dear Lord,
Well, I think
I hate this.
the title comes up. Hard times make for stronger bonds and greater happiness, and here's why that matters. Oh, he did get gone. He said it would happen. He said it would happen. That's so scary. Flying by myself on air. Um, yeah, and today I don't have the brain capacity to fly solo, so I hope he gets on quickly. Because otherwise, we'll start talking about canning recipes. I see that ID Crisis mentioned some canning recipes for all kinds of stuff. I just remember people getting the fresh vegetables, canning them up, and then putting the lids on them and waiting for them to set. But didn't really do any recipes. But salsa's good. Canned salsa's delicious. Yeah, this is gonna devolve quickly if Ballstorm doesn't get back on. I might start telling everybody about my favorite YouTube channels. Yeah, like I'm thinking now. And you can't have that. You can't have like dead air when you're just trying to think. Man, this is hard. Lord have mercy. I admire anyone who has their own show by themselves. That is something. Oh, Russell Brand is one of my favorites. I literally am looking through my subscribed list now. Sully's Lounge is a good one. That's a nice place to be. Trigonometry. If anybody has watched Trigonometry, they have really, really good guests and podcasts. Makes you think about stuff. Oh, Here's a good one, and it kind of ties into the canning and the rural Appalachia. I love Old Gods of Appalachia. Excellent, excellent story series. Hey,
Hey,
Ballstorm, thank God you're
doing
back.
this again. I'm never pulling up articles again.
Thank God you're back, cause like, it was
Oh.
bad, man. I was pulling up who I follow. I was trying not to have dead air. Man, that was bad. I feel bad for our listeners.
Why I have it live streamed on my own. No, your computer probably works better. I knew it would do this. Fucking knew it would do this.
No more articles, I guess. Hey, maybe
Hey,
we can do
Miami Spice.
Hey, Miami Spice.
Oh dear Lord.
Um, yeah, I was
Where
telling them
were
about
we?
oh, I was telling them about canning and how good canned salsa is, and, then I started on Old Gods of Appalachia, and yeah, and then I was like, "God, this is gonna devolve quickly."
What did I miss? You missed me getting kicked off my own damn stream. That's what you missed, which is evidently is now a weekly occurrence.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, we might
Oh,
have to upgrade.
oh dear Lord. Yeah. If I'm gonna continue doing this, we're gonna have to upgrade the damn
What about
computer.
little Jimmy? Would little
What
Jimmy
about
be
little Jimmy?
would he be able to upgrade his
Oh
computer?
dear Lord, little Jimmy couldn't have. He can't afford patches on his damn jeans. How can he afford to upgrade?
That's
No,
true.
because little Jimmy's daddy would have bought a computer that would last.
Well, yeah, I mean, they only last for so long. Computers and technology only last for so long.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You think, little Jimmy's family would have had an electric car?
Oh God. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the electric cars for a second. So I had matter of fact, it was Guava Ball that sent it to me. I had an article sent to me saying that it takes 24 hours to charge a car to to 100% from 4%.
Which car was it?
I don't even remember which car it was. It was one of the electric cars, but
I thought you said it was a Hummer.
oh yeah, it was the Hummer. It was the
Yeah,
electric Hummer.
yeah, yeah. Because I think that the kind of car, that whole law of inertia thing,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like that kind of makes a difference when it comes to energy consumption.
Well, for crying out loud. All right. As a kid growing up, we had the remote control cars. You know, you charge up the battery, you go out there and you play with it. Sometimes it'd be able to run the grass. Most of the time it was on the pavement. And it'd be good for maybe 15, 20 minutes. Then you'd have to go back inside and charge it up for hours in order to get 15 minutes of use out of it.
Yours
That's how
didn't
I look at electric cars.
have
That's how I look at those stupid things.
Well, you think about your phone, and anybody who's got a smartphone, they know, like, when you first get it, the battery life lasts forever. You charge it, and it lasts days sometimes. And then as the phone gets older, that battery starts losing capacity, so you no longer have the charged life that you did when it was brand new. So I wonder, how does that work with cars?
Right. Well, I have a phone that is officially 2 years old now. I have the 12, the 14's what just come out. I looked up my full battery capacity, like how much battery do I actually have when I'm charged up to 100%? It's 85%. The capacity has dropped 15% in 2 years
Well, that's crazy.
on a damn phone that was supposedly the height of technology and oh, you're going to get better battery life, blah blah blah. Now imagine this happens to your car.
That's exactly what I imagine would happen to your car. So you let's say you buy that Hummer. You
You
take
bought a
all
Hummer?
eh,
Oh, interesting.
well, you gotta do what you gotta do. And, so you charge it all day to drive it around town for how long?
Right.
How long does that battery charge last, and then what happens if you die?
Yeah, because what about people who, if you think about it, you supposedly get better gas mileage on the interstate. Like if you're traveling, you have a job or you're going on vacation or something. Supposedly you get better gas mileage when
Mhm.
you're on the interstate constantly moving, right?
Mhm.
And then you get crappier fuel mileage in the city when it's stop and go, stop and go,
Yeah,
stop and
it's that
go.
whole law
And
of
we'll get to
inertia,
that in a
man.
second
Law
about
of
the stop and go
inertia.
thing. All right. So, how long is that charge going to last if all you're using your car for is around town?
Right. How long you're using your golf cart for around town.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And how come we haven't just switched to golf carts?
Because they need to be faster. Eh,
That and federal and state laws and public
blah,
safety
blah,
and
blah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
ID Christ brings up a very good point. The more stuff you weigh it down with, and especially in the cold, it will drain in no time.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And, how in the hell are you supposed to get good mileage out of a truck that's heavier?
Yeah, there's more load. There's more load. So the energy required to get it in motion is gonna be even more.
Right. And
Yeah.
and also like ID Christ has said, in the cold, that battery's going to drain faster.
Well, why is that? Like, why does that happen? No, no,
You
I
know
mean,
what?
some
Dear Lord.
I do know why, but some people will be like, "That shouldn't matter." Like, they would have an ideological perspective on why something should not happen, when it's just a hard, cold fact that it does.
Right.
You know, you have idealists who are like, "Everyone should have electric cars, even where it's cold."
Yeah, it's like, even during Lil Jimmy's time, you had idealists, but it was for practical applications.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
like the real world is not a damn classroom where you can sit around and you can theorize, oh, this sounds good and this sounds good and this sounds good. No, that's the difference between somebody coming straight out of law school and somebody that's been practicing for 30 years. The
yeah,
person that's
well,
been practicing for 30 years know how it applies. The person coming out of law school is just reading straight out of a textbook and somebody's theory.
yeah, no practical application
Right.
of knowledge. Yeah, yeah, very accurate. So, w tell me about what are your thoughts on those cars that the newer, even gas-powered cars?
What do you mean?
Like, we've got a family member, or you've got a family member that has one of them newfangled trucks. It's still gas,
Right.
but then you're at the stoplight.
Oh. Okay. 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 I see what you're getting at here. All right. So, one of the things that, one of the words we keep hearing about is privilege.
Yes.
And, you know, it particularly pertain or specifically pertains to white privilege, but let's let's just talk about privilege in general because when I think of privilege, I think of money, wealth, that kind of privilege.
Well,
All
I
right.
heard it before that, even when, like, any European person, any all right, elitist European
Yes.
would say, "Oh, that's American privilege. You're applying your American privilege to" anyway, that's where I heard privilege first,
I've
but
heard of American arrogance, but not American privilege.
I've heard privilege too. So,
Um,
yeah, anyway.
you cannot tell me that you have never. Let's see. How can I phrase this the best? I'm really trying because it really evokes a visceral reaction in me when I think about this.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and tell me about privilege when you have never had a shocked response to one of these new vehicles that auto stops when you're sitting at a damn stoplight. Okay. Anybody who has ever been through it, anybody who has ever driven a piece of crap car will have a terrified reaction when the damn car auto shuts off at a red light. I have driven pieces of shit that I'm sitting at the red light praying to God that the damn thing doesn't shut off and then it shuts off. That is not a fun experience.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's happened to me several
It
times.
triggers me.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that one time when I was leaving from work and the car I was pulling into an extra Lord, I cannot talk. I'm sorry. This is why I
Oh,
couldn't
you're
carry
fine. You're
conversation
fine.
earlier either. Um, Pulling into an intersection after the light changed. I was midway through the intersection and the car died.
Yeah.
Died right there in the intersection. I was like, "Holy crap." Now, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which, but I knew exactly what was wrong with the car because it had done it to me before, just never in that inopportune of a location. So here I am. I put the car in park, pop up the hood, pull off the air filter housing because the throttle body. I knew it was the throttle body. So I pull off the air filter housing, I spray it with the ether, put it all back on, drop the hood, get the car started, and roll on my merry way home. But that took maybe a minute and a half. But that panic of like, "Oh,
Oh, it's
shit."
panic, and
It is panic.
even if you've been through it before and you know what to do, you still had that feeling of kind of embarrassment
Mhm. You're
of,
mortified.
"Oh,
Mortified.
crap. Here I am. There's all these people." I think of it as here I am sitting here in the middle of an intersection. I'm inconveniencing all these people.
Mm.
I don't feel bad about it happening to the vehicle because, like I said, I'm used to it, but it's just happening in front of everybody. And it's like, oh my God. And, that usually goes away whenever I had to get out and kind of fix it and, do whatever and get on my merry way. I mean,
Well,
because
at least
God,
you're privileged. You're
what?
privileged enough to have a car. At least you're privileged enough for
Oh,
that.
for crying out loud. There's people that live in areas you have to have a car. You don't have the privilege of public transportation.
I know.
Yeah, it's not a privilege, it's a necessity.
You don't need a car. You
And
shouldn't have one.
that's what little Jimmy's family had to worry about. They weren't worried about where they privileged. They were worried about, can I eat today? Can I be able to travel to work to be able to feed my family today?
I think the best, environmentally friendly vehicle is a horse-drawn carriage.
ID Christ is talking about, yeah, it's terrible. You just became that person. When your
Yeah.
car breaks down, you become that
Yes.
person. Oh, I mean, hell, for crying out loud, I've had it happen to me, like driving along in my gas powered vehicle.
Yes.
And everybody, you're either the type that when it gets to a quarter tank, I immediately need to go to the gas station, or you're the type that, let's see how, after the light comes on, let's see how far I can drive it. I've always been that type of person. I'm getting
Yeah.
smarter, barely. But
Just a
I
little
mean,
bit.
I had it. I remember one time I was literally at the intersection of the corner of the damn gas station. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I can make it. And then the damn
Yep.
thing died. And
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
had yeah.
oh my
I
God.
I had that happen once. I had just crested the hill off the interstate at the exit, and I knew I was low on gas. I didn't know how low I was because, it's one of those older cars that didn't tell you. It was kind of a guessing game.
Right.
And then the car died right there. The light, thankfully, turned green. I put the car in neutral. I get out. I push it myself because it was just on the crest of the hill. Push it myself, and then I make it roll down because there was a gas station like a block away.
Right.
And I roll it myself, and I was like, "That's a pretty badass move right there."
Oh yeah. And
Get out and push it
th-
myself.
this is why I don't care who you are. I don't care what type of car you have. If I see you having car trouble, in the middle of a busy intersection, I'm going to help you out.
Yes.
I have stopped my car and gotten out so many times to help people push their vehicle out of the way because I know not just that it's an inconvenience to everybody else, but that it's a danger.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
you know, there's been plenty of times I've walked up to, whoever it is and I'll tell them, go ahead and put it in neutral. I'm going to get you out of here before you get hit.
yeah, yeah. Have
And
you
I get out
noticed
and I get out and push them out of the way just because I am afraid there's going to be an accident.
like, there's a generational gap now between people who have that sense of knowledge of, like, "Yeah, your car can die at any time, you gotta get out and push it sometimes." And the people there's a certain age range where it stops.
Yeah.
And the more people now whose cars are, like, stuck in the middle of the road, you look at them and they have this look of panic, like, "I
Yes.
don't know what to do. I don't know what to do."
Right.
And even when because this has happened when I've offered help before, I'm like, "Hey, you need me to help you push the car out of the way?" And they're like, "No, I don't know. No, no, no. No, I'm gonna wait on the tow truck." And I'm like, "Well, we could easily just move you over here,
Right.
and the tow truck could actually get to you easier if we just push you." "No, no, no. I'm fine. I'm fine."
Now, I've gotten to where when I come upon those people, and people can think it's rude or whatever, but whenever I see, not so much if they're in if they're in like the middle turn lane and I feel like the car's safe, or if they're off to the side, not so much. But if I see somebody stuck in traffic, I just immediately come up and just tell them, put it in neutral. I'm pushing you out of the way before you get hit. And that's all I say. I don't wait for a response. I'm just like, put it in neutral. I'm going to push you out of the way, because I know when people have that fear, they lock up and they can't
Mhm.
make a decision. And it's best just to tell them, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Let's do this and get you to safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know people will freeze up.
Yeah, people do freeze up. I th I think if you have to go through those experiences a few times and be like, "Oh, yeah, no big deal. I got this.
Yeah, but
I got this." And
but that comes from experience.
it
That
does.
comes from having to do things on your own, not depending upon, you know, when you have the car breakdown, when you see somebody that's been in a situation that you've been in before, you know what to do. You have the experience and you know how best to help them out, not being helpful, which is another word for controlling,
Yes.
but actually helping somebody in a practical way.
But that experience also does lead to that very visceral reaction when the car
Oh, I
shuts
hate it.
itself
I
off
hate it. And
in
like
idle.
like Melissa talked about, she turns that button off as soon as she gets in the car. I don't even want the damn button in the car.
Yeah, I don't want that messing up my electronics, no, because somewhere along the line, one of those circuits is gonna go bad. So, what if it starts doing that just willy-nilly while you're driving? Hey, remember when that thing happened, it was 6 or 7 years ago with and they never came out and said it, but where cars would just go on their own? Toyota had that problem.
That happened to my mom and she had a
Yes,
Lexus. She
yes.
was literally sitting there at the dentist office. She was on the phone with me. She had it in park and the damn thing took off on its own.
Yeah, yeah, and that just freaks me out. I would prefer a very old school manual transmission car with as few electronics as possible.
Well, they're harder to work on.
The new
I'm
things? Yeah.
Oh
The
my,
new
it's like, I've had older vehicles where it's easy to get to everything in the engine. And
Mhm.
then what I drive now, it's like, you got all these, like plastic protectors on top of it. And even when you move those damn things out of the way, they've crammed so much in the engine compartment, you can't get to anything. It's
Yeah.
such a pain in the ass.
Well, that does sound kinda tinfoil hat when you think that your car could be hacked, but
It can be.
but
Think about a Tesla that is completely computer driven. And in order to fix the car, they have to do an update.
yeah.
Now, you don't think somebody hack into that? I mean, hell, there was people that were hacking into those the cameras, that you would put on your baby's crib to watch your baby.
Yes, that was so
People
freaky.
people would hack into those damn things.
That was
I don't
so
want
freaky.
that.
No, no. I feel like the more technology dependent, the more, threats on the horizon that there are things like that that would happen. Maximum Overdrive. Is that a movie?
Abs- oh, that was a Stephen King movie where all the of course, this was back before everything was computerized, but where all the machines turned on people, like trucks, lawnmowers, all kinds of shit.
Did you see
It was a great movie.
Sully's other comment? She hacked experts'
That
cars.
is true. That is true. For anybody that doesn't know the story, and I'm sure everybody on here has heard it, Expert and I were out shooting the videos for the Summer Wells case, And we're sitting in there talking to Sully, and Sully says, "Alexa, shut up." And it turned off the expert's damn because he has like an Alexa link in the car. It completely turned it off by her voice.
Yeah, that's not weird.
That's not creepy at all.
Maybe Sully
Jeez.
has like the master key voice.
She has a teacher's voice.
Oh,
So
that's what it
therefore
was.
it's very commanding when it needs to be. So therefore Alexa automatically listens.
Yeah.
And I could say that because I don't have Alexa anywhere in my damn house.
No, no, I turned off Hey Siri
Oh, I did.
because
Oh, I did too. I mean, I know it probably already listens to me anyway. I just don't want to give it more suggestions.
Sully does have superpowers. She just uses that voice. It's like the master key.
Sully does have superpowers. That's why she drives I am Alexa. And now we
Now we
know,
know.
folks.
Now we know.
Sully is Alexa.
It makes total sense now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Little
god.
Jimmy didn't have to worry about these damn problems.
No, little Jimmy didn't have to worry about any of these problems.
It's like technology is a good thing, but it's a bad thing.
Mm,
Technology is good in that we found, more advances in science. And believe me, I'm not going down that road. We've gotten to where, things are better, but at the same time, we've become so much more dependent. Because one thing about back in little Jimmy's time is they were hard times, but you had to learn to be an individual. You had to learn to survive on your own. There's a sticker I want to get. It says self rescue. No one is coming,
yeah. Yeah.
and
Eh,
that's kind of why it's. I'll tell you right now, it's hard for me to ask for help
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm so used to having to solve the problems on my own,
Yeah.
and it's in a way it's a good thing, and sometimes it could be a bad thing. It made me a stubborn ass, that's for sure.
Well, I feel like sometimes those people who are very independent and able, who have been through things that are rough, kind of like the car situation. When you've experienced a piece of crap car dying on you, you're more willing to help.
Right.
I feel like that fundamentally is, I almost feel like that's what's getting attacked is that whole individualism where you do get the opportunity to experience some bad stuff and you get the opportunity to be an independent, self-sustaining person. And
Exactly.
now, now that kind of self-sufficiency is under attack. How dare you want to have things stored away just in case something happens?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's like
how dare you?
right. Well, it's like we said, used to people would think of a prepper, they think of a guy having, tons of food and water and gasoline and munitions and all kinds of things just stored away in a basement because they were a weirdo, instead of, no, I'm trying to get everything together in case something happens, because of, events do happen, natural disasters happen, that winter storms happen, hurricanes happen, earthquakes happen,
Mhm. Mhm.
and like we had said before, the authorities aren't always going to have time to come in and save your ass.
Well, I think one thing that has gotten very skewed is that individuals think that police and authorities are there to protect them as an individual, but no, their main focus is to maintain order
Right.
and to ensure general safety. So,
Well,
mm,
I mean, think about it when you go to restaurants, fast food places these days. They're short staffed, so you're only going to get the minimum. The
yeah, that's
police and
very true.
EMTs and paramedics and fire departments, they're kind of in the same situation.
Well,
Short staffed.
Yeah, I would ask you to pull up that article, but you can't pull up any
I
articles.
ain't pulling up any damn article after what I just went through. No.
Ah, but there's an article, in fact, it's a public debriefing where some fella in Illinois, a police chief or sergeant or somebody, he's announcing to the public that soon, at the beginning of next year, some crimes will not be punished. But, well, I shouldn't say punished. Basically, it's like a carte blanche for certain criminal activities. I think kidnapping.
Well, I'll tell you about something that they had announced here locally. Used to the if you had a minor fender bender, you would be able to call the police and file a police report. That is no longer.
Really,
If you
I
have a
didn't even
minor
know that.
fender bender, you are told to just change insurance information that the cops will not be out. And now I know they do that in some other states and some other areas, but here locally, if you got into a fender bender, you called the cops came and issued a citation if it was necessary, and you would exchange information. That's no longer.
Hmm. Well, that's kind of good because that was a pain to wait for the like
It
if it was just a
it
minor
was
bump. Yeah, it
it
was like,
was, but if you had some, I look at it from the standpoint of proof. If you have some idiot that did break a law and run into your car, then at least you would have the police citation there to kind of back it up.
yeah.
Whereas now it's just more my word against yours.
And I wonder, is that because there's not enough staff to actually report to the accident and issue the citation, or is that kind of a push? There's an impetus from the insurance agencies in which they're like, we don't need proof. We don't need to know who did what. We're just gonna pay it out.
Maybe,
Or maybe not pay it out. Maybe that's the other part of it. Money
maybe.
drives everything, so
Oh, money does drive everything. Well, that's and that's the reason why you keep having to replace technology and why they don't build stuff to last. You
yeah.
can't you can't make money if it lasts.
Well, I don't even wanna say it out loud, but I haven't had a vehicular altercation in quite some time.
You better find some wood right now.
There we go,
There
knocking
you
on
go.
wood right
Much
now.
better. Much better. I feel much better.
Because I haven't had to be part of that system in a long time. I don't even know, has that shifted, or, where it used to, okay, the other person's at fault, they'd get the citation, there'd be
Right.
documentation evidence by
Right.
an authority to prove that. Now I don't know what happens.
Yeah, see, at least that way it was more cut and dry because you the police obviously issued a citation to the other person. It was the other person's fault. There's a accident report that's filed.
Mhm.
So the insurance had pretty much everything that they needed because it's coming from a third party.
Right.
It's not coming from my word against theirs. Yeah, of course they take statements from both sides, but I mean they're going to weigh them against whatever the police report is. Now you don't have that.
Well, you know
Now it
what?
beca- now now the insurance payment becomes much more difficult.
I wonder. That's interesting. Like, an example of my family's frugality is they wouldn't carry full coverage on any of their vehicles, which meant, of course, yes, they're paid off,
Right.
but all you had was liability. So if it was your fault, yeah, you had to, your insurance, of course, would go up and you
Right.
had to settle the. And that's what I grew up with. So
Right.
anytime I would have a minor fender bender, or the one time I ran into a ditch and bent the heck out of the tire rim, but
Oops.
somehow magically missed the mailbox, which I still don't know how that happened. Um, it was like magic. I paid for that out of my own pocket because it was my own damn stupidity for looking off and me like, hey, look over there. Those are some cool cows. I'm pretty sure that's how that accident happened. But that I had to pay for it myself. And I feel like more people aren't used to that. They're like, oh, it was obviously the other person's fault, so they're gonna have to pay for it.
Right.
And now maybe that's shifting. I wonder. I don't wanna find out for real.
No, no, I do not want to find out.
And you had that episode, was it about 10-ish years ago, in which you got T-boned, basically, at an intersection by somebody running the light.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, and if well, in those instances where there is injury, the cops will come for that. But
Yeah.
if it's just a minor fender bender, they're not going to come. Yeah, trust me. In that situation, they had to. The cops had to come out for that.
Well, didn't and that person tried to flee the accident too, but they had
They
screwed up their vehicle so bad.
all right. So I'll tell you what happened. So I'm coming. I'm trying to head back home, and I'm sitting at intersection. The little arrow turns green. Right. So I'm turning left, and I even didn't leave for another couple seconds, and thank God I didn't, or it'd probably been worse. I'm turning left. All of a sudden, here comes this green pickup truck like a bat out of hell, and he's turning left. Well, he's obviously run the light. When he does, he smashes into the front of my truck. Of course, it disabled the truck. The guy takes off like he's running. It was like, I think it was like a couple guys in the truck. Luckily, he had hit so hard it damaged the engine, and he could only go maybe 150 yards.
So was he physically running or was he in the vehicle trying
No,
to
no,
escape
he was
okay.
in the vehicle trying to escape.
Yeah, when you
No,
said he was running, I was like, "He was running? What happened now?"
he was running in his vehicle. He was running away, and so he takes off, and of course, luckily the guy behind me was a paramedic. He come up and he checked on me, and
Mhm.
you know I've got so much adrenaline running through my body. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And we, I pull off or was able to get out of the car. The cops come, of course, have to tow the truck away. And
I remember the insurance was a pain during that
well,
process.
hold on.
Oh, sorry. Jump ahead.
You're jumping the gun. Hello,
No.
Melanie. Um, so go through the whole process. His buddy's out. He's out trying to film everything. And the guy that's a driver, he's coming up and it's like, no, hey man, sorry this happens. I go, sorry my ass. I go, you hit me.
You ran the light,
You
man.
ran the light and hit me. And so hours later, I ended up having to go to, I get home, I calm down, and I'm like, God, I'm hurting bad. So I ended up having to go to the emergency room after all, which moral of that story, if you're in an accident, go to the emergency room.
Yeah,
Just
well,
go straight to the emergency room. So
that could be a whole other
yeah,
conversation.
well,
I
that's a
think
whole other thing. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's a whole other conversation.
so get there and they check me out, and it was bad enough that I ended up having to go through physical therapy. Well, I'm negotiating or I'm talking to their insurance company, and it keeps getting drug out and it keeps getting drug out, and it finally gets to the point to where it's almost to the year mark, and I know that if
Yeah, there's a
if
statute on there.
litigation isn't involved
Mhm.
when the year expires, then you're just SOL.
Yeah, that's right. You did have to get an attorney, didn't
Yes.
you?
So I went and I hired an attorney, and I had the attorney fight it for me because they were trying to lowball me so bad. They were saying, oh, well, you didn't go to therapy on this day. You didn't follow the plan exactly. And I'm like, well, they discharged me early because they said I had made enough progress,
Well, I
which I
remember
had.
the other thing that that insurance company had done is they didn't wanna pay out for the vehicle,
No, they didn't want to pay out for the vehicle.
and then
They didn't want to pay out for
because it was a
my,
total loss.
right. They didn't want to pay out for my medical bills,
Mhm.
which that I wasn't asking for anything over and above. I just needed my medical bills taken care of. And then I was fine.
Hmm.
Um, I was pissed off about them not wanting to pay out on the truck too.
Yeah, because it was a
And
total loss, and only until somebody else had to step in and was like and it wasn't the attorney, but yeah, had to say, "Technically, the driver of that vehicle was not the owner of the vehicle, so y'all better be paying up."
well, here was the thing. No, he did own the vehicle, but he had stopped communicating with his insurance company.
Mm.
And because he lived in Georgia, they evidently have a law there that if they don't have to pay out due to abandonment.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
That was the big hang up, that if they abandon the insurance company, then the insurance company doesn't have to pay out.
Very interesting. That's very
So
interesting.
when everything, the attorneys finally got everything settled, and of course they're able to negotiate with all these people, so I'm sure they got an even bigger payout from what was paid out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was scary.
That was
It was
just
scary.
so I wonder if it's changed in the past 10 years, like, how that whole process changes now. Because
I
I
don't
don't
know.
see near as many, and this might be a a feeling of the pulse. Do you see near as many ambulance chaser
Oh
attorney
yeah.
ads now? I don't see as many,
Are
maybe
you
because of
kidding me? They're all over this
Are they?
town.
I'm not paying
They
attention to it.
advertise what, I listen to a lot of sports radio, of course. They
Never would have
advertise
guessed.
on every damn station.
Huh.
Oh yeah, they're still there.
I guess I'm just not plugged in anymore, man.
Well, that may be a good thing.
It might be a good thing.
Might be a good thing. Dear Lord. But yeah, it if that happened to little Jimmy's family, they'd have
Yeah.
been SOL.
Well, or little Jimmy's family might have rallied together and gone after whoever it was that, damaged their
Yeah, see,
property.
you can't do that anymore either.
What? Oh, man.
You can't, they don't allow vigilantism.
Oh, see, that's just see, I don't think of that as vigilantism. I just think of that as, making right something that somebody else did wrong. Natural consequences.
Right, natural consequences. We don't have those anymore. We have too many safety nets, to be honest.
Yes,
We
there are
we
too
have
many.
we have too many ways for people not to fail. I mean, you
Yeah.
you think back to what they deemed the Great Recession back in late 2000s.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Yeah, '08, '09. You had too many institutions that were too big to fail, so of course they had to get bailouts. N-
Hmm.
No, you know how I learned best? By screwing up. And then I
Yeah.
learned I don't want to do that next time.
Well, you think about the Great Recession and everything that was done to mitigate the potential damage,
Yeah.
which I think just hyperinflated, especially that banking market to an extent, because then people would continue to make risky lending decisions, which they're getting ready to do again.
Yeah, that's something probably not a lot of people are aware of, is that they probably know why it happened back then, because the lending practices were absolutely abhorrent.
So risky.
They were given 100% loans on people that there was no way in hell they could pay it back.
Mhm.
Well, they're already starting to, Bank of America in particular is already starting to creep back into that market.
Yeah, because it's a fabulous market, especially when you have a golden parachute and you know that you're gonna get bailed out because you're too big to fail.
Right.
Of course, you're gonna make these stupid, risky lending decisions. Oh my god, what was that thing that we both watched in which, there were members of highly esteemed banks in front of congressional representatives,
Yes.
and
Yes.
oh
Yes.
my gosh, that was so good because they were asking the banking officials, "What policies are you taking to ensure that you have favorable lending practices for green energy?" And, what was it that one
The
fella said?
very first one.
Yes, I cannot remember what he said, but he was like, "Ah, man." I'm sorry, guys.
It was something to the effect of, because this
Say the
senator,
last.
congresswoman, whatever it was going through the trouble of asking, well, what are you doing to go towards green energy? Asking
Mhm.
these lending institutions. And the very first guy said, we're not doing anything, because it's going to be damaging, not only as short term, but in the long term as well.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
other person on that they had up there said, well, oh, I know what it was. Are you still lending to gas and oil? That was the
Yes.
question. What are your lending practices toward gas and oil? And the very first one just stood up and said, we're continuing to lend to him because that's what's going to keep us financially solvent. All the others were like, well, we're working toward moving toward, you know, God, I can't talk.
Toward green energy.
What?
It's
Yeah,
okay.
basically, yeah, we're basically moving toward more opportunities with green energy, and I applaud the first guy because he was like, "Look, it's it's not ready.
It's not
We're
ready.
we're not ready to use it. Nobody's ready to use it."
I feel like it was Maxine Waters that was asking the question. I'm gonna find this clip. I'm gonna find it and then I'll put it somewhere. I don't know where I'll put it, but I'll put it somewhere.
Good for you, Melissa.
Get after it, Melissa
Get
Jane. Get
after it.
after it.
Get after it.
Get some.
Miami Spice. That was the same thing here in Tennessee. Was that as long as you had 2 months of employment, you could get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only requirement, was that you provided 2 months worth of pay stubs.
That's the same as those check cashing places, just about. Can you
Yes.
show us 2 pay stubs? And then
Yes.
you can get, you can get your check cashed or get a get a short-term loan on what you're gonna get paid next time. Mm-mm-mm. Volstorm?
Yes, ma'am.
We've gone over an hour.
Good. I feel like we've had fun with everybody.
We have. It's been good. And we still don't know what's gonna happen to little Jimmy.
Poor little Jimmy.
Poor little Jimmy.
Hey, this is what happened back then. Either poor little Jimmy was able to survive, or poor little Jimmy starved to death. There was no, there was no handout. There was no bailout. Either little Jimmy's family learned to adapt, or they died.
Yes. Yes.
And
Improvise, adapt.
that may be a cruel way of looking at things, but the fact of the matter is that in order for I feel like in order for a society to thrive, there has to be failure, or you learn nothing.
I agree. There have to be natural consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming
Yes.
on. We had let's see here. Hold on just a moment. Let me
We had lots of
find.
cool people stop
I
by.
know. Melanie, thank you so
Yes, thank
much.
you, Melanie.
And we had Miss Tex Jen and Sully, who's saying Levitt moved to the south.
Well, there
Level
was
head that said you better make sure you knocked on wood after you made that ridiculous comment.
I did. I'm gonna knock on wood again. Just knocked on wood.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank everybody for showing up and kind of listening to us today. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe. Everybody on the chat, please hit the like. Those of you who are already subscribed, and hope you all have a wonderful day, and be sure to look out for each other.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.